Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're just doing Gaming News Consolidated. This is June 15th through the 21st, and what we do here, me, myself, and I, we just take time to watch videos, read articles, kind of think about some stuff, and put it all in one place for you in a podcast. And these roughly go about an hour long. Sometimes they're a little shorter, sometimes longer. But we're going to be talking about Marathon today. We're also going to have something I just thought was kind of funny with Night Rain and a little bit of an update, too, on how the game's going. I'm going to do my review pretty soon. We're also going to talk about the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. And then we're also going to see how Final Fantasy 16 is selling on Xbox, which it kind of looks like they got that wrong, actually. And we're also going to talk about the Ubisoft harassment trial. Man, that is insane. Also, the Legend of Zelda movie, Switch 2's being stolen, and also third-party Switch 2 games not meeting expectations. And then the Switch 2 bricking. Man, and it's way worse than I thought. I got a separate video for that, too. And then we're also going to talk about Madden 26. So there's a bunch. Thanks for tuning in. And boy, let's get started. So let's talk about Marathon. So it's now officially delayed, quote, indefinitely with no release date. Now, that sounds worse than it really is. They still plan to come out in the fall time and actually give a release date probably for sometime next year. But even, during Sony Interactive Entertainment's annual meeting, Holst expressed that they're expecting still this fiscal year, which would be like at the max March of 2026. So it's not like if it would be delayed, they plan to delay it for very, very long. But yeah, this is also kind of crazy because they also said that they're very confident in the engagement in Marathon and the feedback that they're getting. And they said that they're also during the meeting to their shareholders, stakeholders of the company. And then literally 2 days later, they're like, oh, yep, Marathon's delayed. I mean, what a load of garbage, man. Just straight up lied to their freaking people over there. I would be so upset. I would be selling all of my shares. What a load of garbage. Because, yeah, if you can't trust them this time, what else are they lying about? So, pretty insane. So, yeah, there's no official future release date or exactly a time of year, just that within an estimate, by this fiscal year, which ends in March of next year. We're also supposed to have an open beta in August, and I doubt that's happening at this point. And Bungie did say where their focus was on improving the game. So they want to make it more challenging and have more engaging AI encounters. Some thought it was already hard enough. Some thought it wasn't hard enough at all. They also want to make the rewards or the runs more rewarding and also have new loot, which that's kind of a given. Like you expect new loot after a while in a game like this. And making the runs more rewarding, maybe making it easier to extract. Maybe less AI encounters, maybe with how many teams are on the map. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. Also, dynamic events. Not exactly sure what that means or what that's exactly going to look like. Since these are the devs, quote unquote, of Destiny, I would expect something maybe kind of like that, where things just randomly kind of drop in on the map or certain sections or whatever. Increasing visual fidelity, yeah, that would be expected because the game looks awful. Also, more narrative and environmental storytelling, which, generally speaking, for a game like this doesn't really work that well because you're constantly pushing yourself, going as far as you can. Everything's kind of on a time limit, so yeah, it's not like you really have that time to poke around very much and really engage with the story. So most players probably won't even pick up on most of that. Also saying a darker tone from themes from the original Marathon, like back in the 90s. And it's like, well, again, I still don't think that's going to translate very well or come through the gameplay very well because, again, the whole focus and the game design is completely different. And, yeah, this is kind of a problem. Also, better player experience for solos and duos and also adding proximity chat. Now, they did say a better player experience for solos and duos, but I don't know if that means they're actually going to provide those modes, especially at launch. But at least we're getting proximity chat. I mean, people finally complained enough. It's like, hey, we actually want our proximity chat, and we're basically not going to play your game if you don't have it. So I'm glad they finally have done that. And I think the whole reason for the proximity chat thing is like one of the leads at Bungie making this game came from Riot Games, and they had issues with Valorant with proximity chat that they tried policing, which I think is ridiculous. Just grow a skin. I mean, man, you don't need to be cushioned from the world. You stay weak that way. But I really think, though, their biggest problem is that players still don't want to play Marathon. I mean, it's not a free-to-play game. This is going to be paid. We still don't know the cost yet. I'm still thinking $40, just like what Concord was. And then it's still going to be live service microtransactions after that. It's a casual extraction shooter, which is an oxymoron. Okay, you can't really have the best of those worlds put together. The gameplay mechanics just don't really work that way for a successful game. It's a very niche audience, a niche game, and you also got to be pretty competitive because you already have extraction shooters that are out there. The story also isn't there for players from the originals. So, like, we're not really getting the 4, we're not really getting some of the other tech or whatever, and it's like they just don't have the nature of the story in there. Maybe to a degree they do, but as like the originals, I don't think they really have that. And yeah, they're finally bending to proximity chat after enough pushback, but again, players shouldn't have to push that hard. And the plan still is 4 maps and 6 characters, or like classes. And then there's still arc raiders out there that players do want, that baited great. Even I played it myself, and I'm not an extraction guy, but hey, it was fun. That's coming out in October. So people, I'm thinking, and this is also going to cost money, probably $40. So I'm thinking that Arc Raiders is going to come out. People are going to spend their money, start investing in the game. And then when Marathon comes out, it's like, you already invested somewhere else. And I don't think people are really going to switch over. However they do it, again, I think there will be kind of curiosity about Marathon, but I don't think there's really going to be any excitement. So yeah, honestly, good luck to them. And then yeah, Sony Interactive lied to their stakeholders during the meeting, saying they were confident about the game. This is also, the 4th or 5th time that Bungie in the last 5-ish years has been accused of stealing art. There's also severe damage to Destiny's player base due to removing content, the Eververse, increasing prices, abandoning PvP for too long, the Lightfall expansion pushback, and then increasing the material grind for stuff, and etc. I mean, it's just been a total mess. Even though the final shape apparently was better, a lot less copies actually sold for the final shape than Lightfall did. So by the time Lightfall came out, and then we heard about Marathon, people just tapped out. People just tapped out of the game. And yeah, Marathon is still a game that no one really wants. There's no hook. There's no pull for players to get them away from other games. And now we're going to add another one, Arc Raiders, before Marathon releases. I just think they're screwed. I don't think there's a way out of this. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking Marathon will be late until February of 2026. And this is because we have GTA 6 coming in May. You really don't want to be too close to that because that's really going to just suck everything in, including the money. And then also we know that the marketing was pulled and the pre-orders were pulled for Marathon. So I believe no matter what they do, I just think the damage is done. And I've thought that for a while. I just think it's dead on arrival. We also don't really have a ton of updates from Bungie, from Marathon. Okay, we don't really have... I don't even think we have the streams anymore, which those used to be weekly. And then, yeah, Bungie, too, has already had layoffs. And I think they will continue to have layoffs. I think they'll have layoffs again when Marathon doesn't do well enough or completely bombs. And I think the best thing going forward is that this Bungie gets absorbed into SIE, Sony Interactive. I think that would be the best thing, at least for the devs. They'd still have a job. But yeah, if it totally goes off like a nuclear bomb, it's just kind of sad. Like, I understand Bungie is not the same anymore, but like Bungie's legacy has been just so mishandled. It's unbelievable. Let's talk about Night Rain. So we're getting a strategy guide 3 months after launch, which is like, is it really going to be worth it? After 3 weeks, the game is really kind of muted down for players. PC is probably the best place to play, but there's also a lot of Nexus mods being used to make the game easier, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, this is 400 pages, though, for the strategy guide. It's a hardcover, and it's nice looking, okay? Stuff looks great. And so yeah, if you're interested in Elden Ring and Night Rain, I would, and even some of like the Dark Souls 3 stuff, I would probably pick this up if you're a collector. It's 40 euros or probably around 50 or 55 American. And yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. It does look cool, but as a strategy guide, it's just like, wow, really, you couldn't just call it an art book because 3 months when most of the player base is done or quit, I don't think they're going to need a strategy guide for the game. So, plus, it's not going to have the DLC in there either. Let's talk about the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. I wasn't optimistic, but boy, it definitely changed my mind after watching it. It's way more in depth than I thought. So, fully destructible ground and land environments, plenty of collectibles with utility to be able to buy and also have passive benefits like some of your costumes. There's also a whole skill tree. There's time to different abilities for doing more power or doing more damage with your fist, being able to fly, etc., which I did not expect at all. There's also co-op and split screen with Pauline and DK. There's also multiple areas to explore in different biomes. I did see 5. I wonder if there's more than that. I would hope there would be more than 5, otherwise it might kind of feel like a short game. There's also boss fights, just things you're going to encounter in the world in every biome. And there's also a main enemy team to fight too. So you're going to have like these 2 different style of boss fights, which is cool. And yeah, the boss fights are kind of on a level of like Astrobot. I would kind of think of something like that. So yeah, the game is way bigger than I thought, and yeah, it's $70. Still might be a little too expensive, okay, for what they're actually offering. But in my opinion, they're offering way more than Mario Kart World. Even if both were at the same price, I would think Bananza would be doing a great job. So link down below if you actually want to take a look at it. So according to Jeff Grubb, he's hearing that the next God of War game, which was going to be in Greece or like Athens, something like that, well, that it's actually being delayed and maybe pushed to 2026. So again, for sure, I think we're just going to have Ghosts of Yotei this year for PlayStation. Um, this game we don't know much about or even have a release date. I mean, they haven't even announced it, but it's been, quote, leaked from insiders and all of that stuff. And now he's hearing that it might actually be, quote, delayed to 2026. So, yeah, 2026 could actually be a better year for PlayStation. I mean, you could have a new God of War game. You could have Marathon for, as woohoo as that is, the new Wolverine game, and maybe some others that they're actually working on. But yeah, 2025 first party is just primarily just going to be Ghosts of Yotei, which is kind of brutal. And yeah, I hope they get their stuff together because they actually need to start putting out content because that's their whole plan with exclusivity and actually selling their consoles and their content and peripherals and everything else. So yeah, they need to actually do something. Currently, rumors are circulating that Sony might actually be in talks with Warner Brothers. They're interested in maybe buying some gaming IPs and also part of their subscription services, like for TV viewing. So that's interesting. Again, we don't have any real confirmation on this. But yeah, Warner Brothers hasn't been doing financially very well, right? Okay, they've had some IPs for their gaming and their shows, but like they're also losing out on cable packages, and there's just not as many viewers as there used to be. And then, yeah, some, of course, their gaming IPs have failed pretty hard, like Multiverse and Suicide Squad. I mean, those actually should have been pretty good, but yeah, they're not even close. The only one they really have left at this point is Hogwarts Legacy, and they're making a Hogwarts Legacy too, and we'll see if that actually becomes successful. So, if true, we'll probably hear more about this in 2026. We also should remember that there was Kadokawa, and Sony didn't really want to buy everything. They just wanted to buy the best pieces. And Kadokawa wasn't happy with that because, of course, if they just sell the best and they have a shell of a company, they're going to fail, right? They're not going to make any money. And so I kind of wonder if Warner Brothers kind of wants to do the same thing. Maybe the whole gaming side is like, yeah, if you take the whole gaming side, you can have it. Otherwise, no. Or we're not going to piecemeal this out and screw us over even more. And I'm guessing it's kind of the same thing here. So they're, quote, in negotiations. But Sony, too, they can't afford any more dead weight because they've already had a ton. And a lot of people now already know the shape that Sony is in. And then, too, with their Fireside Chat, that was not the greatest presentation for their console. So, yeah, that's pretty awful. Let's talk about Final Fantasy XVI on Xbox. Apparently, it isn't selling well. Only 22,000 copies. Now, how some of these analysts actually came to this number is comparing review amounts on other platforms like PC, Steam, and PS5 versus how many copies actually sold after the fact. So they take a look at how many reviews are on Xbox and extrapolate that and say, oh, they only sold 22,000 copies. Like, these are professional analysts here, I guess. But boy, not in my book. Like, you are really reaching for any kind of a number. And, man, I mean, to say exactly what you're doing and say, yeah, this is not going to be necessarily accurate, but this could be a ballpark. Okay, that's one thing. But to have it come off as like, yeah, they only sold 22,000 copies as fact, it's like, you don't know that. You don't know how many have sold in the first week. Plus, that's the thing, too. It's only been a week. Give the game a chance. There's still going to be people that are going to be buying it. Right now, the base version is $50. Super Fancy COVID Edition is $70. Like, you can literally get everything for $70. That's pretty good. Plus, too, there's going to be some sales, and yeah, people might be waiting for those. Plus, there's a lot of stuff for Game Pass, and there's stuff coming out like every week. So, but man, to push it off is like, yeah, this is how many they sold. It's failing, and every chance they get, sometimes it's like some of these gaming news companies or analysts are like, yeah, Xbox is failing, and it's like, you know what? I really don't think that's the case anymore. Xbox as a console has completely changed. Yes, the way they're doing their exclusivity has completely changed. Yes, they're not following the conventional console exclusive business model anymore. And that's okay. Honestly, they needed to because they were failing. Yes, they almost got shut down by Nadella of Microsoft in 2021, 2022. And Phil Spencer was probably able to save it. And then here we are. He probably told him completely what his plan was, is my guess. Because, yeah, they've been working on this since I think they started Game Pass, which would be 2016. It's been a while. Been a while in the making because, yeah, you don't just make all of this in a couple of years. It takes a lot of time. So checking Microsoft's most played on their website, they were saying that Final Fantasy 16 is number 493. Like, yeah, it's doing horrible, right? But if you actually filter out all of the other platforms and leave just Xbox, it's number 10 in the first week of most games played. Now, that's hours played, right? I'm assuming that's hours played. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. We don't have these sales data. We don't even have trend data. And they're saying that the game is already a failure on the platform. And it's like, that may not be the case. Maybe they sold hundreds of thousands of copies. Maybe they'll reach 1 million by the end of the month. Again, it's a $50 game. But like, they don't really have any view of anything. They're just using reviews. And that is not accurate. That is not accurate. Last I saw, I think there were like 700 or 800 reviews so far. Pretty good amount, honestly, for Xbox. Usually there's just, 200 to 400 for a game. If a game is really, really, really good, it's got several thousand. And if it's been out for a really long time, it's got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of reviews. But yeah, for a week to have 700 reviews, that's pretty dang good. That means there's probably a lot of people that actually bought this game. But anyway, yeah, that's the media for you. They just love to spin their own narrative and prove their point as many times as they can, not actually just give you the news. Fuck them. Next, let's talk about the Ubisoft trial. So it's been going on for a while, but we're getting to the witness accounts now, and those that saw what happened with ex-employees. And this is terrifying. Now, the managers that are a part of the trial and the execs that are also a part of the trial from Ubisoft, they no longer work there. Okay? I want to be clear on that because some people are like, they should be fired. It's like, okay, they were. They're not there anymore, as far as I know. But yeah, it's multiple managers and at least one or two execs that are no longer there. Again, you can look into a whole trial thing if you'd like, but employees are saying that they were tied to a chair, asked to do handstands. These are all women, by the way. There were sexist and homophobic jokes, drawings of peepees stuck to the computer like with sticky notes, getting farted on in the face by managers. They were getting scribbled on their bodies with marker, unwanted shoulder massages, playing corn films in an open office, an open forum at work, which again is just insane. And then one exec was even cracking a whip at employees' hands. I mean, this just sounds crazy. Like, what kind of a work environment is this? It's unreal. I would be livid if my wife worked in a place like that. So this is all being reported on by the Guardian, according to the testimony of what's happening at the trial. But again, you can look it up yourselves. But yeah, why have their games been pitiful? Well, it's because this is some of the environment. Probably not for every single studio, but oh my word, this is just out of control. This should have been taken care of a long time ago. Also, don't forget that Ubisoft has a program to purposefully help women get hired and learn under Ubisoft in the games industry. I wonder why. We can use our imaginations there. So yeah, maybe there was a different ulterior motive. This sure sounds like it to me, honestly. If I was a woman, man, I wouldn't even work there. And even just the name Ubisoft is, man, like, we had heard of harassment, right? You know, like a few years ago, but like this is crazy. This is not just next level. This is a whole nother tier of something. And man, their name for me is just tainted. Big time. And gal, I do believe the possibility of companies and people being able to change, but does it happen very often? No. Extremely, extremely rarely do changes ever actually happen. Things can be lulled for a while, and then things return back to normal, given enough time. But yeah, this is crazy. So I have to say that regardless, ultimately you are in control of your own body. If you have an environment like that, okay, if you're being harassed, if you're being abused, if you're being menaced, stand up for yourself, okay? It's okay to make some waves because no one's going to care more about helping you than you are. And I really want to make that clear because the other part of this is that these victims were okay with it happening for a while. Maybe they didn't feel like they had any power or they didn't have any control, but like they can still get up and just freaking walk out of the office or not come back or come back with their husbands. Frick, man, I would if I was a woman. My husband would be pissed. And yeah, there would be some legal stuff going on. So yeah, don't be afraid to make some waves. Okay, stand up for yourself. Even if you're a guy, a kid, old person, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Doesn't matter where you're from and background. But like, yeah, if an environment is bad to the point where you absolutely hate coming to work, then it's time to say something, okay? Try to resolve it with that person. I had to do that at work, and things are fine now. Things are great. And is it uncomfortable? Yeah. Does it make some bad blood a little bit? Could there be retaliation? Yes, there could, but there's also laws for that too. So it's like, under law, we have protections, okay? And two, some people also like just taking care of things themselves. So yeah, there's ways to deal with stuff, folks. But yeah, you should never choose to be a victim, ever. There never should have been a second victim, but yeah, there's like over 12, which is kind of insane. But yeah, stand up for yourself, okay? It's okay to do that, even because they have a title of manager or executive. Okay, that does not make them above the law. That does not make them above moral ground. Never. Okay. And yeah, I hope these managers absolutely get like full prison for the rest of their lives. They just rot there. And when they drop the soap, baby, it's time to play. I really hope they get screwed. Because yeah, they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it for doing stuff like this. This is insane. This is nuts. Yeah, there's some other stuff I want to say, but I probably shouldn't. Yeah, oh man, it makes my blood boil, baby. But yeah, hopefully they get all of the justice that they deserve. That is nuts. But yeah, I wanted to cover that. Because again, it's just kind of a public service announcement. If it's happening somewhere else at work, okay, and there's a difference between some jokes and saying something and it quitting versus it just getting to the point of cracking a whip and getting tied to a chair and getting scribbled on by marker. Like, holy cow, man. Like, yeah, this is insane. So anyway, stick up for yourself. You'll be glad you did. Next, let's talk about the live action Zelda movie. It's actually been delayed by only 6 weeks. For what? The reason that was given is that they wanted to ensure that the movie lives up to the game. So you delayed it 6 weeks. What are you going to do? Change the credits? Or change the title screen, maybe? Like, why only 6 weeks? Well, a better reason is that the release date is the same day as Godzilla x Kong movie. So both movies basically going after the same demographic. They're going to be competing with each other, and Nintendo is worried that they're going to lose. So it kind of makes me wonder, is like, what do they know about the movie that we don't know that makes them think they're going to lose? Because I would think that Zelda would absolutely explode. And big fans of Godzilla and also Legend of Zelda, I think they would go see the same movie, right, in the same week or the same couple of weeks or something. That's what I'd think, right? Or maybe rent it off of Amazon or Prime or wherever it is. So yeah, now the new date for the Zelda movie will be May 7th in 2027. And yeah, I'll try to see it. We'll see what it's like. I'll see if Woodline would like to go, and we'll share our thoughts. Next, let's talk about the Switch 2s being stolen. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this yet, but basically 1.4 million Switches were stolen. This is 2,810 consoles. We don't know if they were the bundled version or not, but trucker was at a rest stop in Bennett, Colorado, did his pre-check in the morning, and the stuff was gone. And it was basically a trailer, not a curtain one, but like real walls, so you couldn't see inside. All of the Switch 2s were actually in just plain generic boxes stacked on pallets. So, like, in my opinion, this had to be an inside job. And it looks like they cleared the first 12 feet of the trailer from the back going in. And they literally would just taking them off. It looks like they were still in the process, too, which is kind of insane. So, yeah, they're probably just unloading. They probably had a lookout or something. And something was getting dicey out there. So, like, hey, we got to go. And, yeah, that's kind of insane. So either the driver was in on it, in my opinion, or he was just really that incompetent. It's like, okay, did you sleep all night? Did you not tell that someone was busting into the back into your trailer back there? Or the shifting around of people walking around? If you've never been in a trailer, it moves when you're walking. There's some shudder and jiggle there. So yeah, it's just weird. So anyway, so yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with that driver. I'm sure his company isn't going to be very happy. And the thing too is, like, it got dropped off in Washington at a port on the coast, and all of the Switch 2s left from Redmond, Washington, and he had driven a couple of days, or maybe 3 days, to actually get to Bennett, Colorado, which is 1,300 miles. I looked it up. Or if you're in the UK, roughly like 2,700 kilometers. It's pretty far. And then he just got jacked. And then he says he didn't even know what he was carrying. So it's like, okay, how did these people know where the trailer was going to be and what was in the trailer and what was in the boxes on the pallets? Yeah, this really screams inside job. And it kind of makes me think the driver was in on it. But anyway, yeah, this is really fascinating. Because trying to figure out exactly how they knew is really difficult, besides just a couple of options. So yeah, the sheriff's office is checking it out, trying to figure it out, but yeah, good luck. I don't think they're getting those back. Let's talk about the third-party Switch. The games are not actually meeting expectations for launch, which is kind of surprising. Most of this data is from Cicada and Nelson. But yeah, in the US, 62% of physical copies were first party, excluding Mario Kart. Yeah, 62% of physical was still first party games, like Legend of Zelda, for example. In the UK, it was 48% for the same demographic. Again, first party, excluding Mario Kart. Cyberpunk was roughly only 5% of total console sales so far, so we've had 3.5 million console sales, and yeah, you do the math, and we're roughly at 175,000 Cyberpunk games sold as a cartridge. Street Fighter 6 wasn't too far behind Cyberpunk, so maybe they sold 150,000 units or 125,000 units. We don't have the exact number. But yeah, some third-party publishers, they had lower sales for launch than their lowest expectations. Like, that's really bad. I kind of wonder if maybe one of them was Split Fiction. Because the game file size was huge. Again, it says right on the box, no key card. But so does Street Fighter 6, and people still bought a quote physical copy. We can all debate about that, so I'm not here to debate it. But, yeah, what could be the reasons for all this? Well, honestly, the cost of everything. We don't have $60 games anymore. Those are gone. A lot of these two are older titles, so they've already been released on previous platforms. The Switch 2 is also already selling for $450, $500, depending on what you're getting. There's also the key cards. The first-party games, they have the game data on the cartridge, which is great, but most third-party doesn't. Only a few. And then, yeah, reason for the key cards is really because of Nintendo. They only gave, apparently, a key card option to have the license on it, or a 64 gig card, which is crazy. And it's like the 64 gig card was 17 higher in cost than a 100 gigabyte Blu-ray. So like these cartridges are really expensive to make, I guess. And again, they didn't provide any other options, and I really kind of think that was on purpose. Because it's like, okay, if we can get a push to basically get rid of physical and have stuff sold through our store instead, like Nintendo Online, well, then we just make more money as a percentage. And then the third parties, they're making games for us, and we're making money off of them, okay? Just like anybody else, just like Steam or Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. It's the same deal, and it's roughly about 30%. So you get 30% of the revenue when a game sells on a digital store. And that's basically the standard. Maybe some are kind of around 25-ish%. I don't know the exact numbers, but 30-ish is kind of the standard. But yeah, there were just no other options. So a lot of third party wanted to save money, or maybe it really wasn't that profitable. And so they're like, yeah, we'll just go with the key card. Also, too, another reason is the Switch 1 compatibility. There's already games. You can just play other stuff, which is kind of nuts. There's also many third party that have already been released on other platforms. I already said that. There's also no reviews for the third party games. Like Nintendo purposefully did not release any systems out there for devs to try stuff. There were no dev kits. And so they couldn't test their games. There couldn't be any review copies either for some of this. So yeah, there's no copies of anything to review or look at. So at $70, at $60, depending on what the game is, it's expensive. It's expensive to throw that kind of risk down for people at this point. And I even think of that. Hey, if the game is $70, I'm taking a lot of risk if I don't like it. I even feel like 50. If I throw down $50 and I don't like it, dang, that was $50. They could have bought me, 15 gallons of gas or something like that. It would have been nice. So yeah, that's kind of really interesting. Overall, I don't really think it matters. And we'll see what the cadence is for first-party games that are coming out from Nintendo, and whether we want to include third-party devs making exclusives, or just actually like first-party studios making the games as first-party. We can debate about that too. I don't really care. But we'll see, like with adding 4K and ray tracing to their games, all of them pretty much, and then also charging more, is Nintendo actually going to be able to keep up their cadence that they had with the Switch 1? Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to take longer to put out these games, because we already have 7 games that we know of that are supposed to be coming out like through 2026. There might be some other games sprinkled in there, but We have a pretty good idea of what's coming out in the next 18 months. And it's 7 games, including Mario Kart, which already came out, and Donkey Kong Bonanza that's coming out next month. So, yeah, it has me curious exactly what's happening. Let's talk too about the Switch 2 bricking. Oh man, and it is way worse than what I thought it was. So I'll link down the video below if you're interested, but the bricking doesn't happen right away. Usually it's a day or two later. But yeah, you completely lose internet access to your console. So there's no access to the store. There's none of the online parts of a game. There's no access to your digital games because again, you can't connect to the servers. There's no access to updates. There's no access to any server of Nintendo. There's also no access to any of your key card games unless maybe they're installed already, which even that is kind of iffy. So we're not entirely sure of that. But yeah, you basically lose like a ton of access to a ton of stuff. It's kind of insane, even just being able to play online. Yeah, you lose so much. There's almost no functionality left. Your account, too, is also bricked in a way, if it's still linked to your bricked console. And so you also then lose access to internet on your other consoles, like your Switch 1. It also kind of pretty much becomes ineffective. You can still go to the Nintendo store and technically buy stuff. The guy didn't really want to try that at the point of risking money, but because yeah, he just lost $450 bricking his console, and he bricked it with a MIG switch. So, which I guess is supposed to be okay, but maybe it's not. Yeah, it's kind of man, it's kind of insane. But yeah, when you actually unlink your account with your bricked console, your account like isn't tainted anymore. They're still keeping track of what you're doing, but like the guy was able to gain access back to his Switch 1, like full functionality as far as he could tell. He was able to get full functionality back for his Switch 1, but with your Switch 2, it's still bricked. You can't remove your profile from there. You also can't factory reset. Like it's literally done. Like your Switch 2 is done. So then this really brings into question for the used console market. If the deal is too good to be true, it might be a bricked console because they just want to get something back or maybe even sell a full copy. So if you're out there for the used console market for a Switch 2, man, really be careful because if it's bricked, you can't fix it. It is bricked forever, permanent. It's a dead piece of hardware. Unless someone wants to buy it for super cheap, and then yeah, you can experiment away and see if you can get around it. But yeah, the guy too, he was saying as well that he also lost like his data. I don't know how much and exactly where, because again, I don't own a Switch 1 or a Switch 2. But holy cow, like the level of control on this is insane. And then on top of everything else for the Nintendo Switch 2, it's just like, man, people are getting turned off to this. I mean, if things keep going this way, we're not even a month into launch. We're like 2.5 weeks. But yeah, if we keep getting into this, if we keep going this route with Nintendo, I think a lot of people are just going to say, nope, I'm done. Because there's the key cards, there's the pricing, there's the fact that it is a really nice Switch that can actually run your Switch 1 games now. But like, again, the first party lineup, in my opinion, isn't great. We just had one game at launch, which is kind of insane, which was bundled in the first place. And then now we have this bricking, and it's not just like they bricked your account or they banned you for a while. It is like perma-bricked. And that is expensive as crap. The other thing, too, that I'm thinking about is what if there's other third-party stuff out there that people don't realize yet and then get bricked down the road? That's going to be another problem. And also, in the EULA agreement, there's soft modding. So if you crack her open and start tweaking some stuff a little bit, or maybe even want to replace something, is your console bricked? Because now we're getting into the right to repair, and maybe you can't actually repair the thing either. Maybe you got to ship it off to Nintendo and pay a whole bunch of money, and maybe then you just maybe need to buy another one. And maybe that's the whole point. Look at us, console sales, woo! We're making money! I mean, it sounds insane, guys. Like, yeah, I'll link this down below, the guy's video and my take on the Switch 2 possibly becoming the Wii U 2.0. But this is crazy. Yeah, this is utterly insane. So many are reporting big Switch use as part of their problem. But yeah, it makes me wonder what else is out there. And any modding, any kind of weird software that's not approved by Nintendo. But my word, man, this just sounds worse than Apple. I'm serious. Like, this is worse than Apple. Like, don't let companies push you around like this. Again, stand up for yourself. Say no. Okay, there's plenty of other options out there. You can survive without Mario Kart. That's freaking insane. If you really need Mario Kart, there's Sonic Racing that's coming out later this year. It looks great. I'm actually going to play it and say like, yeah, it's a Xbox player playing Mario Kart World, and it'll be the freaking Sonic game. Because yeah, of course I want to pee on it a little bit because I hate what Nintendo is doing. Their whole family-friendly, player-first, affordable, that is like all completely out the window. If anyone had any doubt at this point, I just don't think they're paying attention personally. Yeah, it's crazy. So next, let's talk about Madden 26. Boy, please don't buy this. The release date is going to be in August, so we literally got like 7 weeks. But yeah, EA has to renew the license with Madden. They're actually in talks right now. And so, yeah, they want things to look good, but 2024 to 25, there was a decrease. Madden 25 didn't do as well. A lot of people quit early. It was the same with kind of college football. It had a really great start, but when people start realizing that they basically just copied the game twice and put some different skins over it, and all of still the known issues that they've had are still there, people are like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. And then with 2026, it looks like the same thing. It looks like another copy. So there's 50 advanced traits, which we've already had because we've had heavy hitters and pushers and rushers, and it's like they're just repackaging a lot of this stuff for your players. Even the first play in their extended trailer shows no coverage. I'm not even kidding. I don't remember who's playing. I think it's the Vikings and somebody else. But like the guy is wide open in the end zone, and Mr. AI NPC is just derping off in the corner, completely far away, not any coverage at all. And it's like, it is the same crap, folks. It is the same stuff. It's ridiculous. They also say there's unique behaviors and signature moves for football players, like especially the big ones, but it's like, again, those are just animations. It's not like AI is controlling the character or anything. It's just some more animations, and we roughly have about 500 of those. There's also player-specific pocket movement, signature scramble locomotion, unique arm slots for throwing animations, and unique footwork fundamentals. Man, don't you just love the market speak of some of this stuff? It's crazy. They get really creative. But yeah, it's basically just 500 little new animations for stuff, and the AI gets to choose exactly how it should work depending on the conditions and the player and etc. And this is why the plays in the game break. In 22, in 23, in 24, in 25, we have, and again in 26, just like Mr. AI Ding Dong over there, not even having any coverage on the player, and the guy just getting the touchdown with no resistance whatsoever. It's crazy. There's also coach tendencies. So like they're going to be inclined for certain plays or whatever. That's great. There's also QB signatures and advanced traits. There's also QB DNA. There's also coach DNA. I mean, this is just like sapient technology that they pushed last year. There's also weather. And the weather will affect the players a little bit, but like the players aren't going to get dirty during the gameplay. In Madden 21, we had weather that actually affected the uniforms. And I guess there's going to be some wear and tear on the uniforms, but again, we don't actually have like muddy uniforms on the field when it's raining. And they had that in 21. But again, in 21, it didn't affect the players. Now we have the opposite in 26. where the players are going to be affected by the weather a little bit. Okay, in snow, they're going to run a little slower. Or in rain, it might be a little bit more slippery, right? But I believe the slipperiness we already had in 23 and 24. But yeah, uniforms aren't going to get dirtied, so that's going to suck. Also, right now, EA shared that there's a closed beta going on, and they already know of 40 issues. And they've named them. And players walking, I'm just going to read some of these. Players walking in place after a play. That's one we've already had for years now. Offensive linemen turning their backs, allowing defenders to push in. Yep. We've had that too. Catch holes, which means animations don't actually activate to catch, so the catch doesn't happen. The player's there, the ball's coming, but the AI is too stupid to figure out, oh yeah, I need to trick this animation, excuse me, and get it going. And so yeah, you have catch holes where just plays are incomplete and drastically screwing your game. Also, defenders will take missteps, giving up deep throw passes. Again, AI. Guys, we had better AI in the 90s. I'm serious. I played some of those games. And playing some of the Maddens this decade, watching people play, man, it is the most broken mess I've ever seen for a video game. And it releases every year. And I really think their engine is kind of screwed. But it's like, with these issues, just the ones I mentioned, you really think they're going to fix them at launch in 7 weeks? Probably not. Probably not. And remember, this is a $70 game. And there is going to be a Madden and college football bundle again for $150, not $140. Because, yeah, of course, they're going to give you some more, quote, stuff and have you pay an extra $10 for the bundle. Which it should be a little cheaper. That would be nice because you're bundling it. But, yeah, they don't do that anymore. So, yeah, folks, if we hold off, we have the best chance today to actually have someone else work on making Madden games. Because part of EA's agreement with Madden is that they exclusively get to make Madden. But again, if they're not showing the revenue that Madden wants to see, then Madden says, no, we're not going to make it exclusive. We're going to allow others to make Madden games, other football games, and that's what we want. We want competition so that EA can finally get their stuff out of their A and start actually having some competition to make the games better for us, because we're literally playing the same garbage over and over again with a few tweaks and fancy language marketing to getting us to continue to buy. And we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We do know it's $70. It's not $80. We do know it's $70 this time, but who's to say next year it won't be $80 for the same broken garbage? So yeah, being in talks right now, if pre-orders are down, if the launch is bad, if the microtransactions aren't coming through, Madden's going to see that. And yeah, right now EA is kind of sweating because they're like, oh, well, 2025 was just an outlier. We're going to do okay. Well, let's see how 2026 does. So yeah, this is our chance, folks. Vote with your money. Don't buy it. If you want to watch a full Angry Joe show on it, man, it was like 37 minutes. And it was, yeah, it was hilarious because they've been covering Madden and NFL forever, and they're big football fans. So yeah, they know what they're talking about. And they basically played every single one for like over a decade. And yeah, they're a great resource. So, and yeah, they want the game to be good. Okay, they want the game to be fun and enjoyable and all of that stuff. But yeah, again, some of these issues that I read, some of the marketing speak, it just sounds like they're trying to shiny it up and be like, yeah, it's brand new. It's just insane, folks. Vote with your money. So with that, folks, thanks for tuning in. You can always follow me too at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube. You can also follow me over at Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee. Also, don't forget our playlist. There's a lot of stuff we actually do for the channel. We do deep dives, we do gaming news, we do playthrough of video games. There's also initial looks and reviews when I can do them. But anyway, hopefully you guys are doing well. Stay safe out there. And remember, even though we're about halfway through the year, push yourself to grow. It really is better for your future. Because, yeah, without growth, we just stay stagnant. And if you feel stuck, maybe that's what's happening. So with that, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one.